What's up? This is Rebel Radio.
What up? What up? This is DJ Newmark.
This is Peanut Butter Wolf.
It's your boy. It's okay.
Keep checking out Rebel Radio.
Rebel Radio.
This is Rebel Radio.
We're in the place right here. Rebel Radio is going down.
Would you say Rebel Radio?
Oh, wait. Let's do it again.
Rebel Radio.
You're listening to Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Josh Levine. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud. I heard that Rebel Radio is now streaming 24/7 at all Panera Bread locations. Our guest today is the Baka Boyz, old friends of mine. I actually was their manager for a short time back in the 90s. We're going to dig into that. We're going to talk about how these two guys, Nick V and Eric V, I guess I'm Josh V, they've been running a family business now for 3 decades. They give us some lessons on how they get help from the outside and how they stay true to themselves and kind of balance those two things. And now let's get into the interview.
For some.
Well, but I mean, you guys, morning show is like,
Yeah, that's early.
crack it, up before his sun and all that.
Yeah.
Guests, we learn more about Josh through the guests.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear what's up
very
with
quiet
Josh.
now.
He
Oh,
doesn't
shit.
tell us anything.
Oh, man.
You know,
Yeah.
Josh was pretty guarded,
Yeah.
for the most part, on purpose.
Yeah, I'm realizing that. I don't think I knew that at the
No,
time.
I don't think it's a purposeful thing. I think it's just like,
Natural thing. Just
yeah, just, I don't know,
reserved.
reserved. It's not standoffish at all because you're open, but also we don't know shit about you. He could be, secret guy, Craig's book.
MacGyver.
Yeah, this is just his cool outfit. Then when he leaves, it's like fucking
It's a
Elton John.
Oh, shit. That's hilarious.
That would be awesome.
Well, but seriously, like, we started doing the show partly just to reconnect with people and to, like, I mean, it's funny, like, everyone we've interviewed so far is pretty much people I know.
Yeah.
And,
Because nobody else knows you. They didn't want to come in. They're like, who's just Josh Levine guy?
well, you just, you
This
start
is
with your friends.
Entertainment Tonight guy, try to get on.
Right? Exactly. And, but I'm learning so much about everybody that I've known for 20 years.
Right.
We had Terry Heller's airing tomorrow.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And mostly because, I mean, he came on because he's doing a bunch of interesting shit, but we're airing him now because, he talks about a lot about NWA.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
It's relevant right now. But even, he's one of my best friends. We've
Yeah.
been friends 25 years.
Right.
And I learned a lot about him even in the interview because you don't interview your friends.
No.
Yeah.
We try not to. Unless there's lots of alcohol.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some early mornings, that type stuff. And then you just get to know about people. But
Yeah.
otherwise, it's like in passing.
Yeah.
It's just
exactly.
life is happening.
Yeah, you just chop it up and you're
Yeah.
not, like, really
You
digging
don't go
in.
deep.
Yeah.
Go deep into personal stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So, but we want to start the show, really what we're talking about is how do creative people build their careers and their business, right? And so it's like you see all this stuff in the online about entrepreneurs, startups, and everyone's got advice for how to, the 3 things successful entrepreneurs do every morning or some bullshit like that, right? But you guys are entrepreneurs. You've been building a business and a brand for 20 years.
For a while, yeah.
Yeah, and are the best at what you do.
Thank you.
And
Are we on now? Are you recording now?
I think we just roll,
Okay,
and then we
cool. We just let it roll.
Yeah, and then we
Alright,
just
cool.
we'll edit.
That's how we do it.
We'll edit out everything I said. We'll keep what you say. But so we want to dig into how have you accomplished that and what keeps you going and talk about some of that stuff. But I will intro for our listeners. We know each other. I used to manage the Baka Boyz for a short period. I need to say I was not, I think, a very good manager for you guys.
We weren't very good clients either, so don't. You can't take all the credit.
Okay. But I think Dub C connected us.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly. So I was managing Dub C, probably '96, and and I would come up to the station a lot with him, and I was getting to know some of the other cats around the station, and then I heard you guys were looking for a manager, or he put us together.
Right.
And I think it kind of went like, I mean, my memory's a little fuzzy, because that was almost 20 years ago. But, I think it kind of went like, hey, we need a manager, heard good things about you. Here's a tape of our beats. It was probably a dad. And I was like, cool, great, you know.
Yeah.
And I knew you guys from the air, and you know, you guys were real cool in person. So I was like fired up. This is dope. You know.
This is Josh fired up.
Yeah, it basically looked the same as. But I'm like, this is great, you know, and I'm gonna go out there and sell some beats and the reality, and I, you know, so what I did is I took that tape to everybody I knew, which was more or less, you know, every A&R guy, some other managers, whatever, and nobody bought a beat. And you know,
that wasn't your fault, though. Obviously.
No, but I tell you what I learned from the experience is that, you know, no one was buying beats. Everyone said like, oh, I love the Baka Boyz.
Yeah.
Here's what they said, to be honest. They said, I love Nick. Eric is dope.
Dope.
Right?
Nice.
Like talented. Not that they didn't love you,
Yeah, of course.
but you know, you're the more outgoing.
Yeah, of course. He's always out.
Right. No, you're sort of the face in some ways of the Baka Boyz,
Yeah,
right?
the Ronald McDonald
Right.
of the crew.
And I've seen you both, you know, behind the wheels. I think you both have talent. But people maybe talk about you a little bit more on the decks. Maybe it's because your personality stands out more. Anyway, so that was unanimously.
But we
That's
don't
what
like
everyone
the
said.
beats. But we're not buying nothing.
Well, and some people said, or some people were like, yeah, it's cool, you know, but I don't have anything for you at the moment. And then what I realized later in the lesson is I didn't know what to do next. Like, I kind of thought this is going to be easy. Like, these are guys that are known. They're on the air. People fuck with them. The beats were cool, you know. And I just didn't know what to do next. And I didn't know at that stage of my career, I didn't know to ask for help. I didn't know to come back maybe to you guys and go, hey, you know what? Plan A is not working. Let's sit down and come up with plan B. You know, I didn't know to go to, you know, mentors or somebody else and say, hey, you know, what should I do? And so I just kept rolling with it. And then finally, you know, I think one day you called me, Eric, and was like, hey, this isn't working, which was true. We all knew that. And so that was kind of a good lesson for me.
Dope. Well, I think all of the people that have come across us as far as artists are concerned, as we are, have the same issue. You're not the only one.
Yeah, you're not the only one. So
So-
feel better. You're in a good you're in a good company.
Yeah, we got Happy Walters. You know, he was in there as well.
That's right. That was before me, right?
Yeah, that was before you. Who else, Eric? We've worked with Adrian Miller.
Yeah.
Shit.
Nobody's really figured out what to do with us as
Ricky
far
Minch.
far as a brand goes.
One thing that's I found interesting is some cool stuff happened, and I can't take credit for it, but even while we were in that short time, like you guys, and you don't talk about this on your bio, but you guys did a TV show with Russell Simmons.
Yeah.
Mhm,
What was
you
that
brought
called?
that. You brought that.
Maybe.
The top. It was like the models, and they were doing things.
I think I brought it, but it didn't pay, or it didn't pay
It
much.
paid okay.
Yeah.
It paid okay. I
It was
Something
more
remember.
of
like
an
that.
association thing with Russell.
That's right.
you
Yeah, of
know.
course.
That was
I
like
forgot the name of the show. It was a quick.
Yeah, it was like hosted by a supermodel,
It was
and then you guys were the
Kimura
West Coast.
Yeah, we're doing like voiceover stuff. for
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Cali Kings record.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put out a mixtape in 1998. Before that, we put out some albums with Power 106, Straight for the Streets. What is it called? We had a Thumping Quick
Something
Mix,
like that,
Straight to the Streets, and those were all like benefit albums. So we put it together, and all the money went to go benefit the like an East LA Cultural Center or something like that. So that's very cool, and that's something else that I would like to exercise a little bit more is using what we do have, and I guess just like help rallying up for nonprofit organizations, you know, just doing something, whatever it might be, just lending our services to them, because we've been doing it for ourselves for so long, and it's like, okay, now what's next? How can we actually step up without, you know, trying to continually go back to what we did? We want to move forward, obviously. So, I mean, that's something I want to do, continue on and doing nonprofit organization stuff.
Yeah, that's dope.
So, yeah, we did do that album.
Yeah.
We did the Russell Simmons thing. And we're always looking for the next thing to
Sure.
do.
And then the last thing I remember, that Pepsi campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
SRC, my brother Frank V, basically was working with Steve, with the street team and all that stuff. And he threw our name in the hat, and it came through. We did that.
Nice.
That was cool. We did something with Starter as well
Yeah.
back in the day. That was dope.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we did, but it's like, okay, cool. So stack on stack on stack, this is good success, good success, good success. And then, you know, when we broke off from Power 106, it was like, now we don't really have that microphone or that vehicle, and we had to create it for ourselves. And we're continually to do that, you know, doing it for ourselves, continuing the brand extensions and things like that.
Yeah.
So we're not done. We're far from done.
Yeah, of
But
course.
it was a nice foundation.
So I remember you guys were always talking about, you know, we're over the radio. Like we want to produce. We want to, you know, focus on that. Maybe leave the station. And for me, I was always terrified of that. Like you have this platform that's huge. You're in the second biggest market in the country. You know, the ratings are good. Like people love you. You're just gonna walk away from all that, right? And then you did. And so, take us. What happened on the next day? You guys wake up. The first day you're not on the air. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, there was. Are you talking about like when we left Power?
Yeah.
And we went across the street, basically?
Well, no.
Or when we left.
When you left, yeah.
I mean, for me, it sucks, you know, because that's pretty much what I know and what we know and what we've grown up doing for so long, and not being able to have that outlet is a little awkward for me personally.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because on the air is different than, you know, we have a pre-recorded show that we do every week. It's a syndicated show. It's pre-recorded. It's just me and him in the room. It's very generic. It's talking about the music. There's not too much personality. We can't really be who we are. You know, that's kind of like my outlet, my escape is being on the radio.
Sure.
And be able to have that interaction with the audience, with anybody you're interviewing, whoever's there, the energy, whatever's going on. So I hate it. I mean, I still would love to do a live show every day. You know, that's kind of my thing. He's okay with it. He's okay with it or without it.
Yeah.
But that's how Nick is. He's
Yeah.
kind of just fits in wherever
He's
it
okay.
goes. Yeah. If we do it, cool. If we don't, cool.
Right.
But me, I'm more passionate about it still. I still miss that part of my life. So
Yeah, I'm sure. So how did you get started DJing? Was one first?
he started first.
Okay.
Nick started first.
Yeah.
How'd that happen? How'd you
I
find
walked
yourself?
into a nightclub. Well, it was my father's teenage nightclub in Bakersfield that he created. And I walked into the DJ booth, and I just saw this incredible scene out of a movie. And I was like, ah! Dude, there's the DJ, obviously. There's a girl on each side. The dude's got a drink in his hand. There's 1,000 people dancing out there with fog and all that shit. And I was like, wow, this is possible? Out of what space is this possible?
Yeah.
And it was.
How old were you?
I was 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was
Yeah.
11, but I had always, even before that, actually, this is funny because I just remember this not too long ago. It was my cousin Ricky's wedding, and DJ Flash was DJing, and he was sitting down DJing. You know, he was an older cat. He was sitting down DJing, but he had to leave. And I was always right there in front of the turntables just looking and tapping my toe and all that stuff, looking at these guys doing their thing. And I didn't realize that I was into it like I wanted to be that. I just realized that I just liked it. So he had to leave, and he's like, come here. Yeah, see, I'm the only one right there close to the DJ booth or the table. And he's like, I got to go. Well, you just got to put some music on, you know what I mean? But put one record on, put the next record on. I'm like, okay, I guess.
Right.
I'll try it. But what I did is because it was even before 11, I was looking at the wax. I was looking at the pictures, and I would recognize the stuff from my brother's record crate at home and my mom's stuff. So I would just throw that record on and then threw stuff that I knew.
Yeah.
So that was my first thing, I guess, being a DJ, but not really understanding. But until I walked into that nightclub and I seen that, I was like, oh, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
So that was how I started DJing.
That's dope. And then
Yeah, I started about probably like 6 months to a year later.
okay.
Yeah, so this was the evolution of the whole club situation. Our club was called Vidal's. It was after our family name, and it was basically started kind of to keep my older brother out of trouble because he was always out partying and stuff. So they're like, let's figure out something where everybody can be at one time.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was a teen
Keep your
club.
eyes on him. That's cool.
Yeah, so they hired this guy named Moses who was doing a lot of house parties, big house party guy. He was doing big parties, so they hired him to be the DJ. he started messing with his equipment. Moses found out about it. He got pissed off. He talked to my dad. He said, "Hey, this is not a toy.
Yeah.
This is expensive, and he don't need to be playing with this." So every Saturday morning we'd come from Friday night to clean up. When we were cleaning up, he was in there messing with the turntables, not working, of course, just messing with everything. So Moses found out about it.
Carving out my career. Bro.
Yeah. So Moses
that was
found
college.
out. Yeah, he found out about it, and he started taking his power cord. He had like this pigtail special power cord. So then the next weekend comes, and then this guy starts splicing extension cords and just sticking it up there. He's like, it's gonna work eventually. He just stuck it up. Don't know nothing about electricity, and he's finding out what's going on. So then the next week, Moses finds these spliced extension cords. He's like, okay, he's still messing with my shit. So he goes to my dad and basically tell him, hey, he's still messing with it. And basically, my dad said, well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy him his own equipment, and I'm gonna fire you. And that's how he got thrown into DJing.
Nice.
And then after that, before that, he was working the lights. So when he graduated to the DJ, I became the light man.
Nice.
So I started working the lights. And then but that's always been his thing. He loves being in the spotlight. That's what he does.
Sure.
I don't care about it.
Yeah.
I'm cool being in the background. I'm cool with that space. I don't need to be the center of attention ever. I'm cool. I like to play. I like to DJ still, but it's not something I strive to be in front of 20 million people. I don't care. But he's comfortable in that space, and that's fine. But I asked him to teach me, and of course he said no. So I had to learn myself.
Is that right?
Yeah, I had to teach myself.
Bro, I'm only 6 months into my career, and this cat wants to jump on. Like, bro, chill.
He wouldn't even teach me. He wouldn't teach me at all, so I had to learn myself. And then later, another friend of ours that we met actually showed us the correct way how to mix, because there's a way to mix. It could be on beat, but it's still not on time.
Right.
You gotta count. It's counting bars. It's a lot of counting. It's a lot of calculating and stuff like that.
It's all math.
Which is crazy because I'm terrible at math, but for whatever reason, when it comes to DJing, I'm good. Yeah.
I count bars. He counts bars.
Yeah. So
That's funny.
yeah, and then it all stemmed from really from our older brother, though I would say, because we used to have, my parents would let him have house parties at our house, so he would be home.
Yeah.
They used to hire DJs, and he would be 10, 11, 9 on the stairs listening. We grew up with Rick James, Cameo, Funkadelic, Lakeside, Parliament, all the like super funk stuff. But then also on my sister's side, we grew up with like the 80s stuff. She was into Devo and Blondie and the Go-Go. So we had a great balance of everything. So we like all those, from Rick Springfield to Adamant to, we can listen to all that and know what it is. So we weren't just stuck in one lane,
Is there a first record that made an impact on you?
Well, I would have to say the first two records that I've, mixed together.
Yeah.
Would it be Blue Monday, New Order, and Spin Me Round by
I thought it was
Better Life.
I thought it was Egypt, and Street Freaks, Beat Freaks, or whatever.
We didn't have Egypt until no. I don't think so. Though, because those, that's when somebody took me aside, a DJ, an older DJ. It was just like an after party at Vidal's after like a car show, and I was up there mixing, and he was like, "Let me show you something," and he came up there and said, "Start on the one, and do it like that." So and to keep it, just ride it out as long as you possibly can. Just ride the mix, ride the songs together. So those two records for me are always my cornerstone, I guess.
Nice.
So,
Eric, what about you?
I can't even remember, honestly. I don't know.
Do you remember the first record you bought?
We bought them all together.
Oh, yeah.
When we first started, we came down to L.A., to buy the equipment. Our father brought us down here, and then we went to a record store called Exodus Records in Montebello, and we bought $300 worth of high-energy dance records. We were influenced a lot by K-Day back in the day. They used to have a show called the High Energy Show, which would air from 2 in the morning to 5 in the morning.
Yeah, it was late.
Like super late.
Yeah.
So we'd be on our roof in Bakersfield listening to the High Energy show, and we'd record it, and then we'd take the tape to the record store and be like, "Yo, what's this?"
What's this song?
And then the guy would be like, "Oh, okay, that's this," and then he'll
Right.
pull it to the side.
Was it like freestyle?
It was like high energy disco, Euro disco stuff,
Okay.
man.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
that's even if I told you some groups, you probably wouldn't even know. But it was
There was
what
stuff
we
from
were playing.
Canada called Taps. that we
Taps
played
was
a lot.
big.
Native Love was huge.
Divine.
By Divine.
Okay.
That was
Transex,
huge.
Yeah.
living on
Transex,
video.
Living on
Sure.
Video, all
I
that
remember
stuff.
that.
Also, a lot of stuff from Italy. Bobby O,
Mm-hmm.
the Italian disco stuff was really, really dope.
Yeah,
and
Pet
big
Shop
for us.
Boys before that.
Yeah.
Like before all blew up. You
Yeah.
know, before the West End Girls blew up.
Well, Western Girls was way back in '84. I'm good with the numbers and the years.
Yeah.
I can literally, it's like a mapped out in my years.
Is that right?
1984 was Western Girls, and I was just with a buddy the other night. He's like, the first time Moses played Western Girls at Vidal's, people just went nuts. And I
Sure.
was like, I don't remember that,
Yeah.
but I know it was 1984.
Yeah. That's funny. And then when did you become the Baker Boys?
That came later on when we were going back and forth from Bakersfield to Los Angeles, producing music. We were working with
Kid
Frost, ALT, and all the Latin, quote unquote Latin artists here in
Yeah,
Los
Mellow
Angeles.
Man and all those guys, you know, they were doing this thing called Latin Alliance, and
Yeah.
ALT was writing a lot of stuff for people, and we'd hang out at his house a lot, and he'd come see us in Bakersfield, or we'd come see him up here, and they were drunk one night, and we walk into his place, and he's like, "Hey guys, it's the Baker Boys," and
Oh,
that was
shit.
pretty much it.
And we're like,
Yeah.
That's how the name stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's great.
It's a great name.
That's just how it is. You know, we were from Bakersfield, and
Yeah.
you know, our moms would always call us the boys or this or that, so it just happened, and
Uh-huh.
you know, we're no longer boys. We're little older now.
the Bakers in them.
Right. So you talked about it a little bit, but obviously you guys have, you know, very different personalities and styles, and but you've been business partners forever.
Actually, we've been waiting for this moment, and I'm breaking up with you.
That's fine. It's not the first time. He tried this in San Francisco as well.
Trying to break up with them since 2001.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
working.
I try to tell him it's like Abbott and Costello or frickin' Penn and Teller. It's
Yeah.
Siegfried and Roy. You could be the guy that got attacked by the lion if you want. I don't care.
I mean, you know what? I might be able to fake it better if we can stage that. I can totally do it, and
Yeah.
we can get some play out of that.
Nice.
So bring in that lion.
Yeah, let's do
I'll
it.
take one for the team. Somebody's got to get shot. Somebody's got to die.
That's right.
In order for us to, really get some PR out of
That's
this
right.
shit.
Yeah, absolutely. We're making history.
Absolutely. Mike Karen's gonna come in right now with a gun. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I don't know how we do it. It's just we're brothers.
Yeah.
We have to look out for each other. You know,
Sure.
Yin and yang, like you said. I have great things that I can do that he will never be able to do, and same
Yeah.
thing with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he adds a different touch to it. You know, I add, I guess, what I do. But when he comes in, when we're doing music and production and stuff, I'm wild with it. I'm going everywhere. I'm splashing paint. Pop. I'm going with it. And then he comes in and structures.
Mm-hmm.
And says, okay, remove that. Let's add this. And so he brings that structure to it. So it works like that.
So how do you guys make decisions?
Yeah.
You know, you want to do it your way.
It's probably more frustrating for him because I'm always like, you know, well, let's wait, let's wait, you know, and I'm trying to come out of that more now lately, just to kind of like, okay, just do whatever you think, you know, just I have to trust him as well, you know, he's a forward thinker. He's always been, and especially with music or new artists or things like that, you know, he's always putting me on to people and you know, 2 years later or 6 months later or 9 months later, they end up blowing up.
Right.
So
Does that work for talent scouting when you guys are like looking for new DJs? Are you the one to find them?
he's always looking.
Yeah, I'm always
always
looking.
looking.
I'm always looking towards the future, the technology that people are using, how they're doing it differently, and that's just my job now.
Yeah,
to
he'll go out to, who'd you go see recently? This new cat.
This new
And there was
cat.
like 3 people there. It was
Including
like
me
including Nick.
and his girlfriend. But he
Nice.
was up there. He was dope. He was doing his thing, and I seen his capability. I'm like, I can see this guy on stage. I can see him next to this guy. So yeah, that's just it, man. It's always follow the passion, follow the music, and everything else will follow. For me, I worry about the rest later. Like I said, broad strokes. Let's go, and then we can narrow it down later on. But right now, we want the raw talent that is not really polished yet. That way we can help develop them, what have you, and yeah, that's what I'm about.
Yeah, so you guys have helped bring some pretty important talent to light, right? So you had a hand in bringing Big Boy, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Richard Vision.
Richard was there.
Richard was there before.
He was
us.
there.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was there at Power.
Okay.
E-Man.
He's coming on the show
dope.
the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, good friend of ours.
Yeah.
He's always been 100 with us. So
Yeah.
big up, Rich.
So, E-Man, you said,
Yeah.
right? So talk about that though, because that's not like a typical thing that DJs are doing is finding other DJs or connecting with
Right. Well, I mean, like I said, with E-Man, it was something we were searching for on Power 106. We were looking for the next DJ, so we had a contest. With Big Boy, it was more of like he bugged the shit out of me.
Yeah.
To play, our record, Pistol Grip Pump. He used to call on the phone all the time and just hit me up, Baka Boyz, please play that song again. Please play that song again. So I don't know if we met him at the studio down here on Selma before, or we just met him over the phone.
I
But
thought it was at Delicious Vinyl or
it
something.
might have been a Delicious Vinyl. He was with the Far Side at that point in time. But, he just kept in touch. Him and Fuzzy would always just bug the shit out of me. That's pretty much what it is. And they'll tell you the same thing. And then I just invited him up one time, and turned into something. Just turned into something. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Nice. And then Tito, is probably, he's a pretty special character in the history of LA radio.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
Pretty incredible. Tito used to come to the studio every day, to take out the trash, basically. And we'd talk to him. We would just sit there and talk to him. Hey, Tito, what's going on? How's your day? And, we talked to him. We thought he was funny and thought he was a nice guy. So I just said one day, let's throw him on the air and see what happens.
Yeah.
We put him on the air, and he lasted at Power longer than us.
Yeah.
So,
That's
amazing. We seen him not too long ago. We actually did a demo. We were gonna do a new show on Latino here in LA.
Oh, cool.
A friend of ours, Pete Enriquez, was the program director, and we had just did the demo. We were getting ready to start, and then he got fired. So we didn't get the show off the road. But it was gonna be us and Tito. Like a Saturday night mix show, and it was going to be live and the whole thing. So we were excited about it, but didn't happen, So there's been a couple of opportunities for us to get back on in LA, but they just haven't panned out. We were talking to K-Day about it, and they went a different direction. And
Sure.
So we're still that's still a possibility out there as far as I'm concerned. But we're also moving forward with other stuff, music and production, and still trying to figure out what to do with this brand that we've built over 20 years.
Sure.
Because we still don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like, we got this. Like, everybody we sit down with, like, oh, you guys are legends. You guys are this and that. You guys should be doing this, doing that. You should be doing books, movies, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Cool.
Go ahead. Handle it.
Let's do it.
This is what you do for a living, so you do it.
So
Yeah.
here's what I think. It's like we're writing chapters still.
Yeah.
The book is not done. The story is not over. But you heard a little glimpse of how we came to be, and now we're at, okay, where are you going next? So I think that's where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I think to some extent you always have to be that. Right?
Absolutely.
You always have
Everybody
to be thinking
does.
the
Yeah.
next step.
This is now you're evolving into a radio talk show host. What's
Maybe.
next for you, Josh?
We'll see. Well, we'll see. We got to get past episode 12 or something.
Yeah.
see where it takes us.
Dope.
You guys have played all over the country.
We're syndicated now. So
Yeah, the show's syndicated, so
Right.
we're in different cities.
But even
at
before
different
that, you were
times.
in Miami,
Do
SF.
you guys live in Miami?
We lived in Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where in Miami?
Uh,
I'm from Miami.
I lived in Aventura.
Golden Beach.
Yeah.
With the rest of the Jews.
Yeah. I liked it over there.
You did?
Yeah, it was nice.
He forgot his yarmulke today.
Right.
You can't live there unless you're
that
down,
right?
down with the Minches.
I never been
Yeah,
there.
yeah. A lot of Jubins.
Oh, that's funny.
And I was in Plantation, Florida.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh, what were you doing out there?
Well, I was a slave, obviously. No, it's a bad joke. Because I had kids, Broward County.
Oh, right.
Everybody told us not to.
Yeah, the school system
Miami.
is better in Broward.
So yeah, and we
Yeah,
got him in a
Miami's-
great school.
Josh makes fun of my grammar all the time and the way I just say things.
Yeah.
Like Miami people.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the Miami school system, they have a different
It's really
curriculum that doesn't involve English the way
Absolutely.
we speak it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck all this.
Yeah.
There's like all kind of shit crossed out in their textbooks.
Yeah, we have like yeah.
We don't
no
need
means,
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean yeah, no means no.
Yeah.
No, yeah means yeah. Yeah, no for sure means maybe.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I did it in an
Yeah, that means
email and I
maybe.
started laughing last week. I was like, yeah, no, and I was like, oh god, I'm doing it.
Oh man, I didn't realize
I think
that.
the only
Yeah,
problem I
I'm doing
had,
things backwards.
the only problem I had with Miami or Miami people in general was they don't use their fucking
The
blinkers.
signal.
Oh,
At
is that
all.
right?
They're crazy ass drivers.
It's like it don't
they're
exist in the
crazy.
car
It's
at all.
hilarious.
Like that
Motherfucker.
blinker
No,
that's
they're
like
crazy.
half a foot away from your hand.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't
They
exist.
can't.
They don't use it.
That's funny.
They don't use it at all.
How did the music compare, like the taste in music from LA? Because I don't know about any LA hip hop. Like when I moved out to LA, I was like, what is this? I have no
Well,
idea.
you probably automatically thought Compton, Boys in the Hood, or Ice Cube, and all that stuff.
Right. Well, I wasn't really into hip hop that much, but
Yeah.
I learned as I moved here. A lot
So
of West Coast.
Miami definitely had their own style, flavor. While we were listening to KRS One and Public Enemy on the West Coast, or just in hip hop in general, Miami was booty shaking with Uncle Luke.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, if you're in Miami and that's the movement, fuck Public Enemy.
Right.
We're booty shaking. Boom, boom, chon, boom, boom, chon, boom, boom. So that's what it was. And they never really experienced our I guess, our brand of hip hop, if you will. And that's what we brought to Miami. But also moving down south allowed us to have a different taste on our palate as far as Southern music is concerned.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Sure.
the Little Johns and the ATL
TIs, all that
TIs
stuff.
and all that stuff, that was very prevalent
Jeezy.
over there, and it helped us with our syndicated mix show as well. So we can now be a little bit more well-rounded, you know, as
Well-
far as our music is concerned.
Well, music more nationalized now. It's not so segregational.
Right.
Unless you go to certain markets like Atlanta, it's
Yeah.
its own it's its own beast. You will hear
Yeah.
stuff there you will never hear anywhere else in the country.
Is it good?
I mean, it's their sound. It's they
Right.
support their own stuff locally.
Right.
And you know, before you know it, this person's on the air, and then they get signed, and they got a deal, and then they blow up. And that's how
Yeah.
how it's gone. You know.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I think is interesting as you say, like, you know, with the internet, and we can hear music from anywhere at any time, right?
Yeah.
Which is new. Because, you know, it didn't used to be that way, and you'd go travel around and you'd hear music that was just for them. But there's something kind of different about hearing that music in the place where it kind of
Yeah.
belongs,
Originated.
right?
Yeah.
I remember being going to Magic City, and like, you know, Magic City, you know, it's a unique place for
Definitely.
a lot of reasons, but like, there's records created for that club, right? And that they, you know, they break, and you walking in there, and there's a record that's never, I mean, it's been played a dozen times, always in that club, and everybody knows the words.
Yep.
And it's like, you can't listen to that on Spotify and think you're having the same kind of experience.
Absolutely
No,
not. No, that's special to
no,
go
Spotify don't have gunshots.
to. Or cocoa butter.
yeah, yeah. Now, when they get that down,
That's right.
they got something good.
That's right.
Spotify, you gotta step your game up, man.
That's right.
Fuck that shit.
I love it. That's great.
But so I guess what I'm asking is, you know, when you move to another city, right? Like, how do you blend your taste and all your history and knowledge of music to what's happening right now in that city?
Yeah, I'll just kind of touch it. I think how we've had success in different cities is we never came in there with the mentality of, hey, we're from here.
Right.
We just kind of blend in.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're here now. So this is where we go. And then, you know, then of course Nick is out scouring clubs, streets, whatever. You know, I think within the first 6 months we were there, he brought us Pitbull.
No, it was less than 6 months. It was literally
Three
the
to
same
4
month.
months.
No, it was the same month because we did the chicken breast thing.
Oh, okay. All right.
What's the chicken breast
Yeah,
thing?
what's
Oh,
April Fool's.
April Fool's joke I came up with.
Okay.
We did. We just got there. I think we've been there a month or something like that. So I decided we got to do something cool for April Fool's. So we decided to give away 103 pair of breasts. And so
we got a doctor.
We got a doctor, a fake doctor, to come out, and it was actually one of the sales guys. He was like, "Oh, I'm Doctor Such and Such from Beverly Hills. I just moved out here from Miami. I'm starting my business. You know, I remember you guys from LA, and I'm gonna hook up your listeners. You know? I'm donating 103
pair of breasts.
So we were like, okay, ladies, the first 103 women that sign up tomorrow at 5 a.m.
At the radio station.
Come down to the station.
Come to the station, yeah. So starting at 3, 4 in the morning, these women are lining up outside.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You really gave
And
out
it was
some
cold. It was cold. It was like one of the coldest days in Miami that year. It was like in the 40s or 50s.
People don't believe me when it gets cold.
It gets cold here and there. So we brought them into a big conference room. We had the fake doctor there and other stuff, and we brought up one of the winners, and we said, here, here's the prize or whatever.
Envelope.
She opens it up, and basically we ended up giving her a chicken breast. They went nuts.
Like
Wow.
funny nuts or like they were
No.
They started throwing shit. You motherfuckers, you son of a bitches.
We had to go back upstairs.
Yes. They had to call the cops on these women.
One time only?
Yeah, we only did it one time. We had to call the cops on these women, and then one of the girls got smart and was like, "Shit, I'm taking all this chicken." She took it all. She started packing it up and took it all. I'm feeding my kids for 6 months on this shit.
That would have been an awesome.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we got some television out there as well.
Yeah,
for that.
I'm
That
sure.
was great.
God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you
Sure.
do any other pranks?
No, not like that. It wasn't a prank. Well, we did the slapped up to get beat down contest.
Yeah, that was off of the Hot 97 thing, though.
We did the tattoos. Of course, it was a brand new radio station. Get a tattoo.
Yeah, we used
and
to
you get
do
tickets to whatever.
We used to
cool.
do some crazy stuff,
How
though.
long were you guys in Miami? Or, stationed down there?
2003 to like 2006.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good, though. People still remember, even though we were on for a short amount of time, we got away with some shit out there, though.
So wait, what was the Pitbull part of that?
I just brought Pitbull to the radio station. And that night when I met him, I mean, he basically met me in the parking lot of the radio station. We didn't know him from anything like that. But I'm like, I don't care. Show me. Introduce me. It was actually my buddy Chris Pringle, rest in peace. He said, you got to meet this guy. He's heavy on the streets. He's doing his mixtapes. I'm like, cool, bro. I know you. Bring him to the station. Let's meet. And we met up, and we just kind of like sparked it up right there. And like, let's come to the studio. And I went to the studio, Diaz Brothers, that night. And he cut a promo for us. You know how we do our morning show promos and stuff? And he did a Baka Boyz promo, and he even threw it in about the chicken breast because it was going to happen later on that morning.
Oh, that's funny.
So when that shit was done, boom, I had a Pitbull intro talking about the chicken breast. So even before it was done. So that's it. That's just like thinking forward, moving, looking forward, and always looking for the artists before they pop off.
Right.
So
Is that typical? It feels like, I know there's a lot of talk about radio now, and especially, kind of in the mainstream, right? Like, your playlist is handed down to you from corporate, right? It's all.
Yeah.
I read some article about they look on Shazam and they see the top 10 Shazam tracks, and that's their playlist, and like, so, how many people are doing that, are going out and finding new talent that the station's not already playing, that's not, quote unquote approved?
Well, I mean, now that everything's digital, it's all numbers. You can do it. You can look for it on YouTube, on SoundCloud, any discovery. Look at some of the bigger artists, and then see who they're following and see who they're being influenced by. It's like follow the crumbs at this point.
Right.
And now you don't actually have to go to the club if you don't want to. It's all online, and then you can dictate. By the time I find a lot of stuff online, though, it's signed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're doing the same thing I'm doing. They just have budgets to sign motherfuckers. Be like, yo, yeah. So.
But I guess what I'm saying, like, you don't have to, like, you could just play the shit that's on the
if I want
on
to.
the charts, right?
No, yeah,
like,
we definitely have to stick to the charts. We
Sure.
have to be smart about the playlist that we do play in order to, fit into the quote unquote, I guess the program on the regular radio stations around the country. If they're playing the weekend, I got to play the weekend,
Right.
But in between the weekend, I can play the VIP remix of Major Lazer that nobody else has. Yeah, so we can do that.
Yeah.
Just
There's
gotta
a
be smart.
balance. There's a balance to it. I think what's the biggest problem with the radio right now. It's just so repetitive, and
Yeah.
people always complain about the number one complaint about radio is you play the same song.
Right.
So with there being so many outlets from Spotify to SoundCloud to YouTube to Pandora, there's so many to Dash to all these outlets. I think you could actually get away with being a little looser and actually breaking records and actually going out there, because a lot of these records that end up being on the radio, they start in the streets or at the strip club. One of the two. If you're in Atlanta, you want to hear the newest stuff, you go to strip club. That's it. That's where you hear everything. One of our lawyer over there, he's always sending me stuff from, they play this at the strip club. And
That's amazing.
3 to 4 months later, it's a hit. It's signed, and but they're out there. It's out there, but I just think that they're very tight gripped on the records, and if they would loosen up a little bit, I think it'd be better, because the biggest problem with radio is they don't listen to their listener. They don't listen to their audience. They just kind of dictate what they want you to, you just go with it.
Right.
Not everybody is as radio savvy as we are. We've been in the business. So regular folks that are just trying to drive their kids to school, they ain't turning in the Dash radio. Think of it. Just put that shit on. Get the kids to school. Can't feel my
It's background
face,
noise.
stop 'em out.
Yeah, it's whatever's easy.
No,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's background noise for most people.
Yeah.
Unless it's turn up radio. Like, we got to hear this. The roll call was turn up radio.
Yeah.
Like, turn the knob up so you can hear this louder. You don't want to miss this.
Sure.
That's gone. That's been dead.
But I think that, Tito's Top 4 was turn up radio.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Friday Night Flavors was turn up radio.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think, for me, coming from hip hop and we always, especially at the time when K-Day was off, right? So we always had this we don't really fuck with radio.
There was a disconnect.
We're working in it, so you had to go up there to get your records played, but you didn't really listen to it. But then the mix shows, were the exception to that. And, whether it's you guys or Sway and Tech or,
Mike in.
Yeah.
M's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nardone.
Chosen heads.
Right. Absolutely. And that was always the thing, right, that you would kind of tune into. And then, but you guys stand out to me as really bridging that gap, because you went from the mix show, right, to the mainstream.
Yeah.
And you brought some of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we were very blessed to be able to do that. Not everybody has that power, and no pun intended, power. But Friday Night Flavors, we were able to take some of those records and rock them in the morning show as well, as it was necessary, because that's how we got into Power 106. That's how we got our first shot, was playing that underground sound, if you will. So why not play it in the morning show? If you can play it on Friday night and it's doing very well for the rest of the radio station, you got to play it in the morning show. You can't segregate the music, because guess what? It's done. Those lines are gone.
Yeah,
the genres
no more.
are dead.
Yeah.
It's like whatever you want to listen to. Excuse me, I'll take that back. Whatever you want to listen to is there for you right here in your phone.
Yeah.
Every genre, from this genre to next to country to whatever you want. So those genres and those lines are gone. So as soon as you erase that out of your mind, you'll be able to move forward. But until then, you're just basically holding people back from listening to great music.
I think they just like to put people in
Compartmentalized.
make them like cattle. They basically okay, all these cows listen to this kind of music only. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah, sure.
They don't listen to any other genres.
Right.
They're Latin. They're this age to this age, and this is what they like.
That's just
And
corporate.
that's just
That's corporate.
it's bean counters. It's numbers, and at some point you have to just actually have a feeling about stuff. There were numerous times where they wanted to pull records at the station when we were there. Like for instance, I think it was Rosa Parks.
Okay.
They were getting ready to pull the record. It's not working. It's not testing. It's not doing well. He went in there and pleaded. He's like, give it one more week. Just give it one more week. It's going to come back. I promise it's going to come back. Next week, the shit came back. If they didn't hold on, you got to have a gut about stuff.
So how'd you know that? Was it just hearing the record, or was it, were you hearing that out in the streets?
Well, yeah, obviously, the Far Side, Outkast, I look at artists that we play as career artists, not one song artists. I want them to be back again, especially an artist like them, or a Tribe Called Quest, or Busta Rhymes. These are career artists. This is not just one record, and you have to give them a shot. You have to keep it going, because that is what that's the makeup of us as a radio station. Those core artists, that's the fiber of how we live and how we do our thing. So even though Diddy is not so-and-so, quote-unquote, a rapper, as long as we have stars like Diddy, like 50 Cent, like Jay-Z, like whoever, those are the fabric of our culture, and they need to be supported constantly. And that's just how I think that's how I felt about it. I still feel about it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's interesting. We talk on this show, we've been talking about how, there's a lot of pull to be a one-hit wonder. Like if you get a hit, there's a lot stacked against you from ever getting another one, right? Stuff in your own head, stuff out there, whatever. And, we had AMG on recently, and he talked about how, after that record and the tour and whatever, he was like, he was done. He didn't realize it at the time, but he was over it.
Yeah.
And he went, and we heard it in the second record that it just wasn't there. Yeah. And then he's like, okay, let me figure out how I get that back.
But it's never, you get it that one time. It's never promised another time. Because there's always new guys coming out. There's always the new person, the new dance, the new this. Especially with viral stuff now, everything's so quick and it's so fast, but it's also burns fast as well. There's no, to me, music nowadays, there's very few classics being made anymore. Right. There's not. I think
you said that.
Yeah, I can't.
I mean, I say that.
People always ask me, hey, did you hear this album?
Right.
I don't buy albums anymore.
No.
Just because I know it's not going to be good the whole way. I only buy old stuff because I know it's good. From Ice Cube's first album to Low End Theory to, to Cypress's first album. Those I can hear from beginning to end. I can't tell you the last album that's recently come out that I could do that to.
So why is that?
I don't know.
Man, that's crazy.
I don't know.
Homogenization.
What?
There's too much access for every artist to make an album. Right now, there's an album being made underneath us.
Yeah.
But it's just too much access for people to do it, and also too much just spreading everything too thin. The radio shows, the lack of focus on, as far as the DJs are concerned, lack of focus on the listeners as well. The listeners,
quantity over quality. That's the problem.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Just how much access you have to music, and you're just zooming through things so rapidly.
Yeah.
And then Josh shares stories about discovering records back then. You'd have to go to the record store. You'd have to dig through crates.
Yep.
I mean, these guys had to drive from Bakersfield.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I just had to get to Prime Cuts.
Right. But so there's nothing special about it, discovering music now anymore?
Right.
Or is it just different?
It's definitely different. I mean, with the digital age of finding records, for instance, I'll go through, 500 to 600 songs a week.
Yeah.
I give that record literally 10 to 15 seconds. If it don't catch me, I'm done.
Right.
Yep.
I'm out. I got too many.
Is it gone? Discovering music, is it because you're doing it all from your living room on your, and you're doing it on your phone?
Right.
Is it special anymore?
No, it is special, and I'll tell you how it's special to me from somebody that has been in the music business, and I'm still looking to discover. I'm going out on Thursday night to hear music that I've never heard before. That's it. That's special to me. I'm going out of my way. I'm gonna get my Uber. I got my ticket. I'm inviting a couple friends, and I'm gonna share. And I want to share with them. You got to come with me and come and check out what these guys are playing right here.
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about Night Bass?
Night Bass.
What is it?
AC Slater. He's got his night.
Yeah.
And they do it once a month, and it's just the next thing, evolution in house music, I guess, if you will, dance music. It's a different sound. They're reusing sounds in a house tempo and what have you.
Combination of dubstep and house.
Okay.
But it's not annoying like dubstep.
And plus they use a lot of hip hop samples as well, so they're using vocal samples.
Nice.
And the crowd, the crowd is new. This is a new generation of kids. There's no genres to them. Once again, they don't give a shit about that. So they can drop a trap record, a real ghetto trap record in there, and they'll go crazy.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff. So the discovery is still there if you want to do it, and you just got to turn your back on what is being, I guess,
fed to you.
And go against the grain constantly. So
yeah. What about, so you have kids,
I got 4.
and you see their relationship to music.
Yeah. They're
Right.
special because of,
Yeah, of
you know, they
course.
grew up around great music always in their head. We
Yeah.
programmed them, very well. You know, so when my daughter says, I found Kanye West on Wax from the first album on Wax, or I found Low End Theory on Wax. You know what I mean? So that's the
You're
new
like, that makes me
generation.
proud.
Yeah, it totally
that's
does
awesome.
because I've always trying to push good music into their ears, always, constantly. So when I find something special that I want them to have, you know, we could be a Christmas gift. You know, got the Chronic on
Yeah.
Wax, and you're 21.
That's dope. I just brought my son his first album.
Oh yeah.
He's 6. He's about to be 6. So I
He's
got
probably
it.
like, what's
Nah,
this?
we have turntables at the house, and
Dope.
He plays the guitar.
yeah, he plays guitar.
And he does
Oh,
like
dope.
a musician.
So he's really somehow I played Iron Man
He loves it.
for him,
That's
and he like flipped over it.
His
So
eyes went like,
that's the only song he wants to play. So I bought Paranoid,
Nice.
the Black Sabbath record for him.
that's great. That's a beautiful
Like
thing.
his first.
Yeah,
I'm
like-
hoping he doesn't become like, the problem with Black Sabbath, right, is like they're great, but it's like where you go from there, like it gets pretty nasty
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Well, there's no genres anymore, so you never know where he's
Yeah,
gonna go.
that's true.
No,
That's
my
true.
daughter actually just sent me a link to some new artists. So, you know, they're on it as well. They're always,
Nice.
and we always go back and forth. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of this? Have you heard?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's that great connection. Like C- and his son,
Yeah.
same thing. Like C- is such a incredible head as far as music is concerned, and his son is like becoming the dope new underground 21-year-old producer.
Oh,
and
right,
DJ.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's like, yeah, our generation, we're very, very lucky, you know, but our kids are gonna even be doper than us, hopefully, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's great. What about mentors that have helped you guys along the way?
There's been a few.
Who stands out?
To me personally, I would say like Tony G, Julio G from K-Day. You know, just listening to them on the air do what they did was huge influence on us.
Yeah.
And K-Day in general, you know, back in the day, what they were doing, we wanted to emulate them as best as we could,
Sure.
you know, with our ability. Those guys are still dope as hell. You know, they're still dope. Give them nothing but ultra respect and everything.
So what'd they teach you?
Just, you know, the mixing, the techniques they were using, the records they were playing. You know, we'd hire them to come to Bakersfield so we could basically watch them. You know, our parents would hire them to go. We'd throw a dance and we'd
that's cool.
we want to bring Tony and Julio. So we'd call them up.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they came down and they would become, you know, they became friends with our parents. And so they started looking out for us like, oh, you know, we're cool with their parents. And then Tony hooked us up with Kid Frost
Okay.
to put our first record out on Virgin Records, which we ended up doing 3 songs on his album,
Oh, nice.
on his first album, and that was on a major. And so, and then from there, you know, we started meeting with like Mello through Julio because he was DJing for him, and then we met Cypress through Mello because of, you know, Sindog, and then it went to Buzzstone. It all connected, so everybody was connected somehow.
Nice.
But definitely, those guys are a huge influence for us.
As far as radio is concerned, the first guy to give us a shot on radio in Bakersfield was Steve Wall. He's, God, he always said, you guys are millionaires.
Yeah,
Check's not signed yet.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like, wow.
I'm still waiting for the check, too. Motherfucker.
Steve!
Where's that check?
That's
So
hilarious.
that's the
Yeah,
first guy.
that's great.
You know?
Yeah.
He believed in us, and that was
Yeah,
dope.
he believed in us.
Yeah.
Nick was DJing for Lighter Shade of Brown at the time. And,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we were doing a show in Bakersfield, and my dad had went up to him and, hey, those are my sons, and they DJ, and they mix. They want to do radio. And just, I don't know how he found out he worked at the station or what happened. But before that, I was trying to get on the radio station, and the guy in charge was just, he was a hater. He wasn't trying to hear us because we came from no radio school. We didn't go to
Sure.
broadcast school.
Yeah.
We didn't learn the correct way to say the weather. You know, we were just raw talent. We just jumped on the air.
That's
Right.
so funny.
You know, we
Yeah.
didn't learn that.
Right.
So he was like, nah, you know, you got to have a certificate. You got to have a
Oh, wow.
license. You got to have all
You're
this type
kidding.
of shit. And we're like, you know, we were just kids just having fun.
Yeah.
And that's how we've always been. You
Do you
know,
guys give that feedback to young cats like trying to?
Absolutely. I
Like,
don't.
don't fuck the certificate. Just
yeah, I mean,
They don't need it anymore. You know, I mean, kids
Right.
have radio shows all
Yeah,
day,
that's
every
probably
day
been
long.
broken, yeah.
Podcasts,
Right.
they're rocking and rolling right now. They don't need that. But if they ask us, so they come up to us and they want some knowledge, I always give out anything as people above us did, or they just gave it out freely, and I feel it'll always come back around to us.
Yeah.
And they did it for us, so why not give it to somebody else? And you never know where they're gonna wind up. You always want to be cool and respectful, and give them whatever they can, because they're always gonna come back. Or in their bio, guess what they're gonna say?
started
got-
here.
I was interning with the Baker Boys,
Right.
and boom.
yeah, radio's not rocket science. It's not. You're not splitting atoms here, but I always tell people, if you have personality, I can teach you radio. Can't teach you personality though.
Sure.
That don't happen. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
There's no.
It's too bad
Well, let's
for me.
see. Let's get
Develop.
better.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't work like that.
So I should give up, basically.
No, it's okay. You're
right.
You're cool. You're doing the podcast.
You get a pass.
Give us some tips.
Get a pass.
Give us some tips. I know you guys have done thousands of interviews.
You guys are doing just fine.
Yeah, you're cool. You're
You guys
good.
are doing just
We're
fine.
having fun.
That's good.
Who's been your favorite guest?
I think probably my favorite was James Brown and Barry White. Probably. It was just,
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are,
Hell
and,
yeah.
and of course, like, there's actually, I think there's only been like 3 people that I've ever got excited about seeing. I mean, we've seen everybody
Of course.
pretty much. But nobody I really got excited for, or like starstruck, or like, oh shit, this is such and such here. James Brown was one. Probably Marley Marl was another one, who's basically, created kind of the golden era of hip hop.
Yeah.
And, Dre was one when we first sat down with him, I think. And those 3, and we've had Stevie Wonder on too before. That was cool too. But those 3, to me, were the ones that I was like excited about. Everybody else, I could care less. I mean, we're there to do the interview, but I don't get crazy about them.
Sure.
I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you make. We all come in the same way, and we all die the same way. So no matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I treat everybody the same.
The standout for me has to be the interview I did not want to do.
Oh yeah.
MC Hammer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, when you're kids and you're like so on your music, you're like,
Yeah.
fuck that. I'm
Yeah.
not playing that shit. I'm not, no.
Right.
So
And this was at the top of his, like, this is
Reign supreme.
KFC and Taco Bell commercials type thing.
Okay.
Like, he was on top.
Yeah.
He was typewriting over everything.
And I was like, nope, don't want to do it. Nope.
Yeah.
And they forced me to do it. And I was just like straight up honest with them. I'm like, bro, I'm not a fan of your music. I don't get down. I just want to be upfront and honest with you. And he said, you know what? No one's ever really told me that, and I appreciate you being honest with me. And
You said that on the air?
I
Yeah.
told it to him. Yeah.
It was on air.
On the
Yeah.
air. And he's like, I know, right? But you got to be, I want the energy to be right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't right with me.
Yeah, yeah, you
And I'm
can't
not
fake
one
it.
to hold my
No,
tongue.
he definitely
Right.
won't.
I will not hold my tongue. I don't care who you are.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? That's just who I am. And he's like, dude, thanks for telling me that. Appreciate it. And it was by far, to this day, the best interview of my life.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, Hammer's pretty dope. I met him kind of recently, and he's like, he's a special dude. Like the shit that he's been through, the highs and lows,
Yeah, man.
it's pretty amazing stuff.
That's dope.
I always had, I'm from the Bay, so I had, and the first time I heard Hammer was on KPOO,
K-Boo,
is
yeah, I
the-
remember that.
the
Remember
community
KPOO,
radio up there, and it was an interview with him and NWA
Oh, wow.
together.
Whoa.
And like, because he was like the local hero.
Yeah.
This might have been their first tour, I think, is when they came up and did the Henry J, and it was big riots, and like it was like the day before that or whatever.
great.
So this was like their real debut in the Bay Area. And like, so for me, like, I've always had that in the back of my mind when you see him on the KFC or whatever. It's not that he, I definitely turned my nose up to him at a certain point, but there was still some of that in there that like, okay, we know where he came from.
Yeah.
He came from the streets and he did his thing, and he scraped for everything he got.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I get it, right? Like, not everybody.
No, I was on my East Coast Cypress Hill shit.
Of course.
That whole sound.
Yeah.
Just being kids, and ignorant for the most part, But I'm glad that I was able to be honest with them, and it was a great interview.
How much do you think that's changed? I mean, I know now, most recently we're watching the Drake, Meek Mill beef happen, or whatever that was.
Was that a beef, really?
It's not,
It's not.
it's whatever passes for a beef right
It's
now.
more like a garden patty.
Yeah, but I think for those of us who've lived through other eras,
Actual
right?
real beefs.
Yeah, like it makes you think about just how that whole thing has changed, and how you talk about the East Coast, and for a long time, and maybe even to this day to some extent, but there was this mentality that real hip hop came from the East Coast, came from New York, right, and that they didn't take us seriously, and I think that for a lot of the artists that I knew, that really fueled their drive, right, and for the DJs too. We had Adam 12 on the other day, and me and him used to do a club together, and we brought Clark Kent and Funk Flex, and Adam was like our resident, and every week he was like, I'm gonna fuck these dudes up, like I'm gonna show them what and he did, and he schooled them on the every week, because but it was only because that was them, and he had something to prove, and they didn't. You know what I mean?
I think with New York, they always feel like they have something to prove, and they don't want to, like, it's their baby.
Right.
They don't want to share it with anybody.
Yeah.
But music's music, no matter where it's from. You shouldn't put a coast or a genre or anything on it. If it's good, it's good. No matter what. And you should embrace it. I think that's why we had such success, because we never did that. We never like, oh, this is West Coast, or this is East Coast, this is down South, this is this. If it's good, we just played it. We didn't give a shit where it's from.
Sure.
That's cool.
And I think that's how we've had success everywhere we've been, because we always show love to whatever's going on. And like, for instance, when we're in the Bay, a lot of the guys were stuck in their sound.
Yeah.
And we were like, if it's not better than what I'm playing now, I can't mess with it.
Right.
If it don't stand up to what we're playing, you have to step your shit up outside of your area too, as well, to expand your audience and everything. We're thinking nationally now for our show.
Yeah.
And so we try to be honest with everybody, whether it's good or bad. I'd rather be honest than lie to somebody about something.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? I mean, when you're dealing, or let's say if you're pitching a deal or something like that, and you lay it all out, and then you hear nothing, would you rather them say it's not for us right now, or obviously they don't call you back, or like they give you the shoulder?
It's funny. So when I was in the music business, you would kind of always get a call back. Maybe not right away, maybe not on your schedule, right? But you would always kind of hear like, nah, that's, bring me the next one.
Yeah.
Right? Not this one. And now, so we have a marketing agency. We work, with corporate brands, doing their marketing, a lot of times connecting them with music, but we get paid by the brands, right? And the brand world is totally different. Like if they don't, if the answer is no, you just probably never hear from them. There's no like that mentality of like, we're going to have an ongoing relationship. I remember, so the first real record deal I made was Bosco. And we signed it to Atlantic. I came really close to signing it to Def Jam with Dante. He had a little label deal at Def Jam. And we got to be friends kind of, throughout the process. And I called him to say, hey, I'm going to Atlantic. And he cussed me out. It was one of the very few times in my life that somebody's cussed me out. It's basically him and Amanda Dummy are the only people. But she cussed everybody else.
Yeah,
So I'm not special.
out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm that special with getting cussed out by Dante either. But he cussed me out. He's like, lose my number, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm shopping my next thing. And I was like, shit, should I send the tape to Dante? Like, is he going to light it on fire and send it back, right? But whatever, So I send it to him. And he calls me. He's like, let's do it. I like it.
Dope.
And and that taught me a valuable lesson, right? That, you know, you're going to have these relationships that go through different stages.
It's gonna be ups
right?
and
You're going to
downs.
have your ups and downs, absolutely. And corporate thing's very different. They're like, we're looking at 3 agencies. We're going to pick one. If you're not hired, like, we'll probably never talk to you again. Like, you know what I mean?
Really push to get some like feedback, or everybody's being so corporate.
But at what point is like, okay, stop calling. They're not giving you any feedback. They're not giving you an answer, yes or no. So at what point is like, okay, that's it up. Just cut it off.
You sound like us asking.
Yeah,
Josh
I don't
all the
know.
questions. When do we
I
stop
mean,
bothering?
I think to some extent you never stop until they tell you to leave me alone, right?
Okay,
Like,
okay.
because
Same
I always have that in my mind that, you know, someday I'm gonna have that next thing that they want, and they'll forget the last time they told me no, you know.
Or they'll see somebody else do the deal and be like,
Maybe,
"Fuck, I passed that up."
I think a lot of it is just, you know, timing, and it's the same in the music business, right? Like, you know, the right artist comes along at the right time with the right song, right? You know, I tell this story back when I was doing management. This kid, Evan Bogart, was working for me, and he had brought Eminem to Interscope, or he was in the mailroom and he kind of found it and was like, we should pay attention to this. And so then, you know, a few months later, they're working on the record. He's like, M's looking for a manager. And you know, I'd heard the demo and I was like, yeah, you know, it's cool, but white rappers, yeah, you know,
Probably not.
yeah, probably not, right? And, you know, so my bad, obviously. But, you know, the point is, had he and I had that conversation 2 years later, like after Eminem broke and he was bringing me the next guy, I would have had a very different reaction because the timing was different.
Right.
You know, at that time, I wasn't the only guy saying a white rapper's not going to happen, right? Like,
But were you actually looking for the next white rapper after
no,
Eminem was so big? You know what I mean?
because that wasn't my, you know, that just wasn't my thing.
Yeah, I think after somebody's had success, it's like you can't go down that route again. I mean, it's
Right.
already been done.
Sure.
You know, it's like, so.
Yeah, but how many
find the
guys got
next-
signed because of Eminem?
I mean, I can't name them. I mean, MGK.
They're not still around.
I mean,
but-
like who? Like name them.
Oh, but I think like, you know, Asher Roth
Okay,
and Hot Carl,
Carl.
and like there's a whole generation.
I guess, yeah, but you don't hear them anymore.
Right, because they weren't
that-
Eminem.
Yeah, that lane was trailblazed
Absolutely.
already. So there's
but they
really-
got deals, is what I'm saying. Like there's a
Gotcha.
bunch of guys around town started going, okay, who's the next one?
Right.
You know,
Gotcha.
and
I heard some of those deals were signed just to keep them off
yeah,
Oh, shit.
out of the market anyway.
Damn,
sure.
That's crazy.
So I heard that too.
Yeah, probably so.
Dirty business.
It's a tax write-off for the
Okay.
red labels.
Yeah, for sure.
Dope.
Okay, I'm told we're out of time, but I need 2 more.
Okay.
So, you know, when you guys think about the Baka Boyz brand, you know, and a lot of that, you know, you for most of your career, you've been at stations who have a lot of control over that brand and how it gets represented. You know, we see you on the billboards around town and all of that, right? But how do you balance that with, you know, your own vision for what you want Baka Boyz to mean?
We have to be our own bosses, and we need help. Not only do we have to keep our brand who we are, but we need to look forward to the next thing, but we need help. We're not going to be able to do it ourselves. We're still going to need guidance, but we're also going to be creating new things constantly. I don't know if that answered the question. Keep the balance.
I think that helps.
You know, we're not down to saying no, we shouldn't do this, but you know, we still need some guidance.
Yeah, I mean, just being honest with, you know, like say if we were at a station, like there was an event we had back in the day. It was the Friday Night Flavors anniversary. They tried to put Tag Team on our show. It had the biggest record in the country at the
Yeah.
time. Whoop, there it is.
Sure.
We're like, we don't play this shit on Friday Night Flavors.
Right.
This don't represent who we are and what we are. So we fought with management about it. They finally said, you know what, you're right, and they pulled him.
Yeah.
And then we ended up having, I think it was Outcast in Cypress Hill, that show or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then when you think about other brands, like, you talked about Pepsi and Starter and that, like what makes a good fit?
I think it's the fit is who we are. It's like, look at our lifestyle, look at what we do, look at what we use. That's a fit for us because we rock this shit.
Yeah, because it's real.
Vans, I'm rocking. I'm not a skater, but this is lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's say spec, drop my phone, boom, saves me every time.
Right.
You and me, spec. Turntables, you know what I mean? Like, this is what we do. Headphones, the lifestyle stuff, the brand, you know, those are, I think those are first attacks. And then after that, you know, once we get a couple of those buildups, and then the other people start coming, like, do you drink water? Yeah, I drink water.
Yeah, cool.
You know, so.
Yeah. All right, last question. Who is your favorite DJ or the best set you've ever seen?
I'm going to go with Jam Master Jay because, you know, he was something that I seen. Like, he was the one on the video in the Walk This Way, and he's up there running. I was like, I can do that. If I see it, that's what I'm about. Like, if I see it, that means it's possible. If it's possible, I can do it. So Jam Master Jay, I mean, off top, for me.
Dope.
I mean, there's a lot of DJs out there, a lot of great DJs, and some of the stuff that these guys are doing nowadays is pretty incredible. I mean, you can go on any YouTube channel and watch this DJ from overseas
Okinawa.
or this guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, probably to me, is Tony for me. Tony G.
Nice.
To me, he's like, I put him in Yoda category.
Totally.
He's been studying for over 800 years. And he's still dope as fuck.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know, he's
That's
still
cool.
dope, and nothing but utter respect for that guy. I mean, he's still dope to me. And I still love watching him today like I did when we first started.
Yeah.
You know, he hasn't lost a step. Even at his age, man, he's still so.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's dope. Those are we actually haven't heard those two yet. That's cool.
Yeah.
We're getting a good list
we get
together.
A lot of the same
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah, you'll get Jazzy Jeff, you'll
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
8-Track,
Sure.
you'll get Craze,
Yeah.
and those guys are
Dope.
great.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
But as
Yeah.
far as my personal,
No, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
you
great.
know,
Well, Baker Boys, thank you for being here, man. It's
Thanks
good
for
to see
having
you.
us.
It's
Thank
been
you, man.
far too long.
I know.
Come back and promote stuff anytime.
Yeah, you
Thank
guys
you,
are
we
awesome.
will.
Shout out to your
Um,
parents. They did a good job.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
You guys are awesome.
How do we find you guys online?
the Baka Boyz everywhere. Just our name, TheBakaBoyz, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Who runs that?
We don't have a
I was
Snapchat.
just gonna ask who
Well,
runs it.
It's a combination.
Okay.
The Instagram is both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All the crazy, ignorant shit, that's me. I
Okay.
always post really bad shit, but it's funny to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do that.
Yeah.
He always does like the positive shit.
Oh, that's funny.
So all the positive.
Now I'm gonna look for the ignorant shit.
Yeah, the ignorant shit's my shit.
Nice.
And then Twitter, we both get on here and there. You know, we don't have a Snapchat or any of that stuff. We don't really do any.
Yeah, it's too much.
My Snapchat would be boring. It's just me sleeping, playing video games, and eating. That's it. He's eating again. Fucking guy. Fuck.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks
Cool.
for having us, guys.
Yeah,
you
man,
guys are
thanks.
great, too.
Rebel Radio. Coming at you.
All right, that was the Baker Boys. Nick V, Eric V. I'm your host, Josh V, on Rebel Radio. Thanks for tuning in. Our Twitter was blowing up during this episode. If you want to jump in on that, send us a note on Twitter at Rebel Radio Net, or leave us a comment on iTunes or SoundCloud.com/Rebel Radio. Otherwise, tune in next week for more.